Yo. Yeah, hang on. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. All right, I'm just tweeting out that we're live. So
Yeah, sounds like you're getting ready for dinner.
Dinner is being prepared around me. I was sort of lending a hand, but like in all you hear that? Like look at that. Like in theory, I'm offering moral support. Right? That's technically what it's called. I'm now serving as barman. I'm gonna go on mute for a minute and get a little post out.
Yeah, no problem. Codes and Disco Fries, if you want to request to speak, Gareth can add everybody up here. I will say I'm really hopeful for my Wi-Fi. I am out on a farm this week, house and dog sitting for a friend. And the Wi-Fi today has been a little questionable, so hopefully I can stay connected the whole time. And looks like Nick may be having some issues. All right.
Hello. It's
Yo,
Codes.
Codes.
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How you doing?
Very good. I loved your set last night on Twitch. I was having so much fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome. Hey, Nick.
How we doing? Is Twitter going to work for me today?
That is always the question, isn't it?
It really is. Codes, what's up, bro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. Good to see you here. Good to see your drop. It looks awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And I don't know that you've met Gareth, but he's here on mute and he's in the UK, so it's dinner time for him. But he is here.
Nice. What's up, Gareth?
Yo, how you doing? I've been loving the drop this week. It's been good. I'm all good. I'm just cursing Twitter at this point in time, as for some reason it's now, it was nice and easy to share this space about 30 seconds ago, and then for reasons unknown, it's changed everything. So, man, Twitter sucks sometimes. Right, let me get this post out, and then we can get going, right?
Yeah, wicked. And we are recording this space, so people can tune in later. If needed. Codes, I was just going to post it in your Discord to let everybody know, but I lost the link. There it is.
Sweet. Feel free to use that everybody at.
Appreciate it. I will do that.
I know. So I always try to be careful of it because I hate overusing it, but it
yeah.
This is worth it for sure.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, everybody, welcome who is tuning in, or if you're listening to the recording later. My name is Redbird. I am I'm doing community and marketing over at Record Shop, and we are a music NFT or music digital collectible platform. We are really, really excited to have with us today Codes, who had his first Record Shop drop just yesterday. I think it's been already going really well, minus a few technical glitches. But luckily, Codes has been very patient with us and working through them with us. Codes, want to do a quick intro for those who may not know you on the Record Shop side?
Sure. I am a DJ producer, based out of Rochester, New York. I moved back to be close to my family during the pandemic, but I met Nick and the Disco Fries in my many years in Brooklyn, and we just reconnected. I think I put something up on Facebook and was like, I was looking into different avenues, and I've been into crypto for a while, and I've been trying to figure out doing different things than the same old Spotify, Beatport, pre-save my song, go buy my song, here's some big DJ playing my song, and trying to do some cool stuff for the fans. And then so he said, hey, and connected me, and that's how the Record Shop thing started. But yeah, I make house music. I've been going by Codes for about 10 years, been doing the Codes project, and I do all kinds of different house music, very heavy in the bass house recently. Had releases on Nightbase, Dirty Bird, my own label, Holy Molé Records, and Holy Molé Music, and had just been, a DJ at heart since I've been a kid, basically, and it's more, I would say, a lifestyle than a profession, and that's just kind of what I do and who I am.
I love it. We just to give some context to that, we connected with Codes through some of his early mixes. We were playing this, I think it was called like Champagne Blast. I can't remember the name of the record offhand, but
Guzzling Champagne.
Yeah, Guzzling Champagne. This record was in like every one of our sets for a few years, and he remixed an early record of ours, and then we kind of lost touch for a while. But yeah, I mean, anytime an artist, especially in dance music, flags that they're into NFTs and crypto and stuff, I feel like I need to put them on to what we're doing and what's going on here. So I was just excited that you were excited to jump on the platform and do some stuff over here. And I really like the way you're engaged with your community. I mean, I had no idea like what you were already doing in Discord and stuff. So maybe you can speak about kind of how you built that community and ways you've been engaging them there. I think that's really interesting, especially for playback. People who listen to this on playback are a lot of artists who look for strategies to engage fans in new ways. So I'd love to know what you were doing there.
Cool. Yeah. Well, you can download my course for $30 a month. No, I'm just kidding. I guess this all was born out of the pandemic. Is the worst, craziest time, but also, as artists, I think, and other artists listening know, is usually your best art comes when you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. And that's, what happened to everybody. The whole world shut down, and I was getting ready to go on the biggest tour, all the years leading up to, basically, was March 2020. And then buying tickets, setting up, having everything just kind of being the rug pulled, basically. And then being lost for a good month or so. I couldn't even go back to my apartment in Brooklyn because my roommates had long-term COVID right in the beginning. So I ended up streaming randomly. I want to give Mark, DJ Subset, I guess, the props for pushing me to stream on his show. He's kind of one of the first people I saw spearheading it. And I couldn't even go back to get my equipment. I put an APB out on Facebook, and someone drove me a pair of turntables and a mixer. I was staying with my girlfriend at the time in Union Square in this 1-bedroom apartment, which ended up turning into like basically a TV studio, where I bought a red plastic tablecloth downstairs from the grocery store and learned how to use OBS, how to do green screen stuff. And I still had my older computer, so all I could do was put a picture up behind me. But that started everything. And then the Discord and the Twitch, and then eventually I started doing it as a release to get away from all the crazy stuff that was going on. But through that, DJing, and like, I almost look at it like, instead of having, fans that they'll buy your music, or, maybe they'll come to your show or buy a ticket when you come to town, but the connection that I made with this big group of people online is just different, where, I know them all by screen name. And we went through some shit together, where it was, couldn't leave the house. We had no idea what was going on, and or where the light of at the end of the tunnel even was for anything. And for that 1 hour or 2 or 3 or 10 hours of streaming, that was our escape. And we had this kind of bond formed, I would say. So I don't even know if you consider it fans, but it's like super homie fans almost. And that opened up. Then we started doing the Discord thing, and then I started streaming 3 times a week, and started having guests on, and that kind of just spiraled. And then I moved back to Rochester, and I got to go through all my old vinyl that I haven't went through in years, that I've had in storage for I don't know how many years, 17, 15 years in New York City. And so then I got to share all these memories and even build more of a connection with these records that, shaped me as a person and as a DJ growing up. So really this online connection, it was, a natural, organic thing that I'm super grateful for. And I think kind of the turning point that made it really solidified this group of people, like basically gave themselves a name, was I'd be DJing, might have been having a couple drinks, and I'd be like, I'll just play a couple more. And then a couple more, and I'd be like, and then a couple hours would go by, I'd be like, all right, I'll play a couple more. And then so that's where the name The Couple More Crew came from. And then Claude Von Stroke hit me up and asked me to start doing a show on the Dirt, because then Dirty Bird had their Twitch too. So then I started doing every Wednesday night on Dirty Bird's channel, and that birthed another whole bunch of amazing people that kind of came into this Couple More Crew community. And I think Twitch is fizzled out quite a bit, especially for DJs, but I still do it because sometimes it's 25 people, sometimes it's 200, 300 people. In either way, it's like the really awesome, amazing people that I have this connection with. And since I've been touring, since things opened back up, I've gotten the opportunity to go and like put faces and real names to these screen names. Every city I go to, there's a Couple More Crew that comes through, which is like just an amazing thing that, if you talk to me March 2020 or even April or May or June, I wouldn't even believe you if you told me that this was going on. So it was an organic thing, and I was just consistent, and I worked my butt off, like learning how to do that, learning how to run OBS. I never really had a team. It was basically me and my girlfriend at the time. She just loved dancing, so she would just be dancing when I'd be DJing the whole time. So it worked out beautiful for a while. Now I got a house in Rochester where I have a room for my streaming, a room for my studio, no roommates, which was unheard of because of my many years in Brooklyn. But yeah, and then another big factor of that was crypto and losing everything. And then a friend of mine who worked at Apple sent me a chunk of Chainlink, I think $100 a Chainlink. And I was already into crypto, but that was 2017, 2018, and I just forgot about it because everything had crashed so bad. So then once he sent me that, next thing you know, it's like worth $1,000. And I'm like, then I start getting little bits of money and putting it into crypto. And then I start seeing the possibilities with NFTs and blockchain and technology and privacy and decentralization and all this just beautiful stuff. And then fast forward to seeing you guys taking all of that tech and philosophy and mixing it with music and giving your fans and friends and family and just like a different outlet and a different way to connect. It's just a beautiful thing. And that's basically, I guess, long story how I got here.
That's quite a story, man. And I know some bits of this from when we talked last, but definitely picked up a few things in there that I didn't really realize. I think one of the things that's the hardest part of any Discord community or any like artist community as a whole, and Lisa could speak to this much better than I can, is making it sustainable and conversations that can continue without the artist or the entity being involved in that conversation. So I'm really interested to hear like what has made your Discord compelling, um, with the couple more crew, when you're not there. Like, what are the topics that kind of resonate in there and keep people churning and coming back?
The funny thing is, I would say the most popular thread in there is always the memes. That's where we have the most traffic. Is, if you have a Discord, I highly suggest that you have one section just for memes and laughs, because I think that's what people bond over the most. If you can make people laugh, and especially we all have, I feel like, the same kind of sick humor. But that would be the biggest thing. And then another thing I always do is all the releases that I'm allowed to, like the ones that come out on my label, I put up for free for everyone in there. And I'm like, if you want to support, stream, buy a copy off Beatport or whatever. But I try to give everything to my community as well. So anytime there's a release on my label, we do that. And then we have another one where there's different tips for producers, and I don't think it's super producer heavy in there, but everyone's a lover of music, especially dance music, and mixing the old school stuff with the new school stuff. So it's like, Discord is a very cool thing that's just given another place when we're not on Twitch or not anywhere else, and away from the typical Twitter and Facebook. And I think it gives people a place to go and kind of do what they want with the people they want, with no one else bothering them. So Discord is a great thing.
That's really great feedback. I think the hardest part on the record shop side is our Discord is pretty eclectic. There's a lot of different people with a lot of different motivations for maybe why they're into NFTs as a whole, what types of music they're into, etc. So we, as Disco Fries, but also on the record shop side, always try to find like the through line. And it is interesting to me how many people who might not be into music production still kind of appreciate getting drips of production advice or just having a peek into that space. We've done some like collaborative events and things like that to engage that community and get them involved in like producing a song or producing a DJ mix or curating a DJ mix. And I think it's always, I just find it fascinating that there is a whole subset of people who aren't at all into music production, probably will never be, but definitely like having some sort of peek into that space. So have you experienced some of that as well?
Yeah, totally. That's something that I still haven't really done yet. I've done the interview thing, done the DJ thing, but I haven't done like the production stuff on Twitch yet. But even as a fan, before I knew about music production or any of the technicalities behind the scenes, I was always interested as well, and always wanted to see what this. So I totally get that, and I think anyone as a music fan, no matter how little or how much it's always great to see and hear, how people make that sound, or found this sound, or started this, or what platform or DAW they use. So it's all the common factor is always the love for music. And I think as long as we keep that as the main thing, then you're going to connect people from all over different worlds and genres, and then have cool stuff like record shop. Now it's like, oh shit, I can put this track up that no one has anywhere else except for a couple people or this and that. So exciting for the future, to say the least.
Sorry, I just realized I was unmute that entire time. You could go over to Lisa. Lisa, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking back to when you were talking about, right at the beginning of the pandemic and, starting to go on Twitch and building a community that way. And now you're getting to meet people in real life, and how friggin' awesome that is. And, as much as the pandemic was really, really awful, I think I'm personally so grateful for all of the new people I've met across the world. And sounds like you have that same vibe going on. You actually get to meet them in real life now, which I'm so jealous.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing, is so getting almost enclosed into your, well, I was in New York City too, so I was like enclosed in this 1-bedroom apartment and with this woman who, luckily, she was amazing, but I've never been around someone so much my whole life. So it was like the whole world shrunk to where we didn't leave this 1-bedroom apartment, to somehow the whole world got smaller as well. So I was made friends in Croatia and, all over Canada and Japan. And so there's people that somehow this shrunk the world. And now the connections that we have they were always there. Like the internet's always been there. Twitch has always been there. Not always, but it's been there for a while. And this kind of forced us to realize, just to change your perspective. And it's like, actually, you think the world's a pretty big thing. And this just like, the world's pretty fucking small. And now it just shrunk everything. And now there's like, even not like, so many people I reconnected with, and so many new people that I met in wild places. It's just a crazy thing to reflect on it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm curious if you've been thinking about how you can utilize NFTs and like the possibilities of token gating and all of that good stuff, that you might be doing with your record shop collectibles. I'm just curious to hear kind of your plans as you are dropping more collectibles on record shop.
Well, this was the first one, so I really wasn't sure what to expect. And like I was kind of saying before, my main objective or vision is to do something different, and to do, me and Nick both been doing this for quite a long time, and there's been so many changes. I remember before Beatport even popped up, or people started paying attention to that, and how kind of everyone was like, yeah, I'm not buying. What are you talking about, buying MP3s off of this site? Like, people weren't fucking with that at all. And then now, if you DJ, that's where most people get their music from. So that's the same way I feel with the NFTs. And to think about how, I think I listened to a NFT talk. I think it was with the Dirty Bird peeps on Twitch or on Twitter, maybe a year ago, and Kurt from Flosterdamus was talking about how his next release, he was going to release an NFT that was going to be a smokable album, and that you could like smoke it somehow, and come to find out later on, I think that it was like a weed vape that you could plug into your computer that also had a USB that you could put the album. But that's what kind of just made my mind realize that, it's limitless, and like you can do anything, literally anything that you can imagine you can do with NFTs. So I've been trying to, this one was a track, some moments from when I played night bass in LA, and an artist card. And I've been trying to think of different ways and rewards and trying to do different things. And like, that's what I guess that's what I was saying is the same old Beatport, go to Beatport, pre-order my song, go buy my song. Hey, look, my song's charting on Beatport. Go pre-save my spot. It's like, you know, it's exhausting and it's boring for everybody. And to have a new way to release music, to release content, to give people collectibles that, you know, could be worth this or worth that, or even just to like have a different media besides the, I come from the vinyl days. So having a vinyl record, I can pull a vinyl record out of my collection and look at it and have this connection where I remember where I bought it from, where I used to play it, who used to ask me for it. And all these memories just flood into my mind just by looking at it without even listening to it. So that's what I want to capture. That's that feeling. Like, to me, what is the new way to capture that feeling now? And I think NFTs is the closest thing that could possibly do something like that, where, you know, there's just so much more to it than you just go to Spotify and press play, and then the artist gets, you know, a fraction of a penny, which is another wild thing that I'm sure we could go in on that. But yeah, just the connection and the memories, and I guess moving back and getting into my vinyl collection and playing different genres and all these records that I was in love with growing up and that literally formed me and my brain and my heart and my gut and my musical everything. I was like, why the hell have I been spending so much money on storing these records? I did the math on having a storage unit in Brooklyn for, I don't know, 14 years. And it's a wild amount of fucking money. And so, and to even think even further back, you spend a lot of it was drum and bass and house music, imports from the UK. Those are like $10 a record, $11 a record for a single, maybe 2 songs. And to think about that now, spending all that money on the records and then spending all the money that I spent like storing them, I was kicking myself like, why are you still keeping these? Until finally, when I moved back and I realized that they're just memories, and I'm sharing these memories that are some of my favorite memories, and they're such emotional memories and have all these different connections to me, and they do different things for other people. But sharing those, that's why that was, even though we can count probably in the tens of thousands of dollars of how much that I spent, that was worth the investment just to still have these memories and be able to go into my vinyl collection, look at them, play them, listen to them, sample them, whatever I want to do. And this is, I feel like, the next wave of something like that. And tapping into that is my goal and my vision for doing the rare, only 60 copies of this track that, you know, I spent so much time on, and the artwork, and instead of opening up to every single person, just like back in the day, if you went to get a mixtape, you had to go to the store, the record store, you had to buy it. That DJ had to dub it, and that DJ probably only made 100, maybe 1,000 of those ever. So the scarcity of those, compared to today, unlimited streams, unlimited downloads, unlimited YouTube videos, everything was so unlimited. And that was the beauty of the underground for me growing up, was how no one else at my high school knew about raves or about jungle music or about scratching or all this. There was little pockets of people around the world that connected somehow, not through the internet, which sounds like a crazy thing to say right now, but I miss that. And that's why, you know, I kind of even took a break a few years ago from once the EDM quote unquote word came out and everything went wildly popular. I've always been on the opposite side of that, where I fuck with shit because this is some cool shit that no one else knows about, or like, this is, I worked I dug for hours to find this record, and there's only a certain amount ever pressed, or like that's what's cooler to me than 5 billion people streamed my song, and because I had a viral TikTok that was blah 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 whatever. I'm not trying to hate on anything, but to me what's important is the connection, the feeling, and the scarcity of something cool, because everything is just so watered down and so accessible. And that was, everyone's a DJ now too. Like, I think I have more people in my Facebook feed that are DJs than that aren't, and that wasn't when I started. So this is an exciting time to get back to something really special, instead of something special means that it's not overdone or overset. So like getting back to the special feeling of what I used to have when I used to go to raves when I was a kid, and I'll be like, I don't even know what this song is, but it's fucking amazing, and I'll never be able to find it. There's no internet to search it. There's no Shazam. But that's what I tried to do on my streams too. Is I fortunately get a lot of early promos, and a lot of the music I'm working, I get to test, and a lot of stuff that will never come out. That's a big important thing to me, is playing things, putting people on to new things that they never heard, and then also things that you can't Shazam it. Like, that shit's not going to come up on Shazam. Anyway, say it. So that's what I would say my vision or goal is to somehow capture those kind of vibes and do the next level on the blockchain, and with people, like-minded people, and this is the only avenue I really see that comes anywhere close to anything like that.
There's so many interesting thoughts there that I want to jump to real quick. If you guys are just joining the room, we are Record Shop. I am Nick from the Disco Fries, here with Lisa and Gareth from the team. And we're here with Codes today, who just did his drop on Record Shop. You can go check it out. Check out his storefront. And if you are in here, feel free to share the room, tweet it out, and let's get some more people in here. And of course, people could listen after the fact to the conversation. One thing you mentioned was just about like how mundane it is to, hype up a release, Spotify pre-save, talk about charting. Hopefully you get in the top 100 on a record, whether that's on Spotify or Beatport. And just it's mundane to plug as an artist. It's not exciting for fans necessarily to engage with. And it kind of just, the creative process of marketing a record is lost. Like, you really have to find excitement, and you have to find really unique ways to market a record to be excited about the song, frankly, like after it's out and done. And it's because we're, beholden to so many platforms with algorithms and things like that. So to your point, like for me, that's what's most exciting about Web3 from an artist perspective, aside from like the creative process, is the marketing process, because we all have to do that. We have to wear every hat. And like, it's great to be excited about the record when you're making it, but there's a whole, I would argue, like 70% of the song that you have to deal with after the fact, if not more. The creative part's always fun, but like when you get to the other side of it, it would be nice for that part to be fun too. So it's nice that we're in a place now where you can do different shit, and you can be just as excited about the record after you've put it out as you were when you were making it. So I appreciate you bringing up that point. I think it's really valid.
Hell yeah. I was just watching the Kenny Beats and Pharrell talking on some sort of, I think it was an Apple Music thing on YouTube or something, and the people, I think Pharrell said something like, the time now is the time where you can do anything you want. Man, I had the quote in my head. I can't remember it now, but he said something to the extent of, you can do anything that you want. Now is the time, basically, if you have the work ethic and the talent and also the drive to do anything with this the blockchain in general, technology in general, it's limitless what you can do. So to be stuck in that narrow funnel of, and I'm grateful for Beatport and Spotify and all that stuff too, but I'm exhausted, and we're competing with, now the majors are into all this stuff, and their marketing budgets, the TikTok, all that, the Instagram's slowly dying, and Facebook is basically dead, and it's kind of like, what the fuck are we gonna do next? And that's why this has given me a breath of fresh air, I guess, for lack of a better term, is that and have got me excited again. And that's why I started DJing. That's why I started writing music. That's why I started going to raves. All goes to getting excited about art and music and communities and people and fashion and all this stuff. And it's just so diluted now. But if you push through and you move that stuff to the side, it still is an important part of my my music and my fans and what I do. But to be thinking ahead and figuring out, what's next and how can we do this that's going to get more people excited, I think is the main thing.
Yeah, earlier you were saying something that we talk about a lot here, and I was literally like, my hands were in the air. I had a huge smile on my face. I'm so happy you were saying it. But you were just talking about how when you are doing NFTs, basically what you can do with them is limited only by your imagination and what you can think up. So like, I am just so thrilled that you're thinking along those lines. And just that you've even grasp that concept and you're just trying things out. I am so here for it, and I think everybody else is here too. But I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about the label Holy Molé. Um, I noticed that your storefront was under codes, but I also know you're a label boss for that. So I want to tell us a little bit about that, some of the other artists you have signed, maybe any plans you have to bring them over to Record Shop too. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so I mean that just goes back to the same thing of I've wanted to start. I think most producers, your dream is to start a record label, and it really started, I want to say late 2018. I had all these records done, and I was signing records, but I still had a wild amount of music that I was sitting on, and I had two managers at the time that were co-managing me, and they brought up the idea of self-releasing, and I kind of did some research, DistroKid and blah 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 blah, and I was like, fuck this shit, I should just start my own label. And I just needed the right name, and that came to me in the airport eating food at one time. I was actually on the way to my grandfather's funeral. I got stuck in Boston airport in a snowstorm, and it was a terrible weekend. But that's what he used to say when we were kids, is he would either say holy mackerel or holy moly. And then I saw in Digital Underground and Shock G's one of my favorite producers, inspirations, and that's kind of where the whole thing came from, is like Shock G and an avocado, which is another whole story, guacamole thing, but all that smashed into Holy Moly. And so an avenue for me to have full creative control, and also same thing where it's having a vision, and I almost think that like the NFT things, like it's an extension to all this stuff. But yeah, so instead of started putting out records with the first one, I did a record with this amazing singer named Shoshana, and that did really well right off the gate. And then a really good friend of mine, Proper Villains, who's a New York kid who's been just an amazing producer. We had a studio in the same building for years, and then I did a Vanessa and Ocean Roulette, and since then Vanessa has wildly blown up. VNSSA, and yeah, I've been trying. To be honest, I've been trying to tell people to get onto NFTs and record shop, obviously, for so long, and we're still so early, and especially artists, they don't really don't completely understand it, and that's crypto in general, I think, and NFTs kind of have, I feel like, a bad name. But if you guys follow, obviously you guys follow crypto, it's the same thing. When people are saying the markets are going to go up or the market's going to go down, usually it's the opposite. So I feel like the same thing with NFTs. And if you're in there early, you make your mistakes before there's a billion people in the industry, or lots of wild money involved and all that stuff. It's a great way to learn and to be on the beginning of what's next. And every, like, blockchain technology, web3, everything is shaping not just music, but like our whole lives are being changed by this. So with the record label, that's my vision with that as well, is same thing, figuring out a different way to do that. And to answer your question, I've been trying to get as many people into it as possible, but I think we're still early, where it's hard for people to see it until someone's been made $1 million. Like, no one knew what NFT were until Beeple or whoever made a bunch of money. Until there's wild money involved or some crazy story, people don't trust anything, which everybody's jaded. And I get it, because everything there's a lot of scams in there too, but it's, I am still trying to tell everybody. I mean, for the past couple of years, I've been trying to say, you should own some crypto, but I've been trying to get all my friends and everyone into NFTs too. So this is the tip of the iceberg, and hopefully I'll bring everybody over there.
I love that, and I agree. Like, it's gonna take a while to, even if you're doing it, one of the artists or many of the artists on your label might not understand it, and it takes explaining. It also takes showing them. They might have to be a collector first and get in the door that way. I know for most artists that kind of is the path, and we steer a lot of artists on the record shop side. Definitely steer a lot of artists to start a collection and understand what other artists in the space are already doing to feed their own ideas. So in your plans for grandeur, I know you're always planning dope shit to do on platforms. If you could do anything in the world in Web3, even if it's not feasible right now, but down the road, what would you say would be like your ultimate goal, like project or idea that you want to execute in the space? Have you thought through something like that?
I mean, ultimate, I was going to say to have like Code's house be an actual club venue inside of like Decentraland, or somewhere on some sort of Web3 tech. But I want to think bigger than that. I was like, I want to have my own country that is like a place where people can put on their headset, or by that time maybe you just touch a little button that's connected to the side of your brain or whatever, and then you go in to this world where you can go and see, hey, oh, there's the homie from New Zealand, and go and sit down and have dinner, and then go to the Codes House Club later that night and go see this DJ, and go and the whole, like, basically everything is going to be in this space, but on a next level where it's like there's going to be different worlds. I actually just read, I was in the airport, and what the hell is it called? Oh, I'm blanking on what it's called, but it was a book where, Ready Player 2. So I just read Ready Player 2 a couple months ago, which has inspired me wildly too with this kind of thinking as well. But I have a feeling a lot of people in here have at least seen the movie of Ready Player 1. But in the book, how they're talking about, they basically copy people's memories and upload them to this hard drive, and you can live as a woman or a man and be into this. But that, something like that, where it's like you can be Tiesto for 3 hours of him DJing at Tomorrow World or Tomorrowland, and you can do that kind of stuff. So my mind's thinking on this like bigger level of what is that going to be, or what are we going to be able to do that with music or with, and we're still obviously quite a ways away from that, but it's just another example of just how limitless the technology, and pretty soon people in our minds are in. That's really the limit, is your mind.
I actually don't think it's as far off as you would think, like, because the wearable technology to feel haptics is a thing already, and like it's being developed like crazy. I know Meta's like pushing into it like mad. And so the idea that, like, yeah, like you make the example of Tiesto. Tiesto's wearing haptic technology when he does a show, and you put on an Oculus and you wear that same tech, and you could feel the temperature in Miami when he's on stage at Ultra, and you could feel when the CO2 hits his shoulder. Like, that's all feasible stuff that can happen within the next few years on like a real scalable level. And it's interesting to me that, like, I don't think the general public has any concept of any of this. So when it hits and it does get to scale fairly quickly, they're going to think that it came out of the blue. When in reality, we all know, like, this has been developed for, years on years. So what's most exciting to me is being part of that revolution. So when it does get to scale and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe we can do this now, you're already prepared. Like, as an artist, you're ready to go because you've thought of these plans. You have the contacts in the space. Like, you can make moves, and you're prepared to move into that tech in a much better way than artists that are kind of steering clear of it right now. So that's what's most exciting to me about it. Like, I think it's going to happen really quickly when it does hit the tipping point. It's just going to fly. And I love the idea that you and us and other artists in this space are going to be just ready. We're there for it. So our goal is always to encourage other artists to at least have a serious look and consider being involved at some level. Like, you don't have to be all in on it, but having your bearings on it, I think, is really important. If there's artists in the room listening or that listen after, you don't have to drop a collection. You don't have to do anything right now, but it's the same way artists stayed away from streaming. And then when streaming happened, they took a while to be able to get their feet wet and understand it and make connections in the space and get traction. Whereas if they had embraced it right away, if they had been at the forefront of it, they would have been in a much better place. I think that goes for any technology, though. I'm sure you can agree.
Yeah, totally. And that's, I mean, shit, I think our first conversation was in January. So it's not like any of this happens overnight. I mean, you guys have been doing this, maybe a year, right? So like, this is such a great time. That's what I learned I've made money. I've lost a lot of money in crypto and DAOs, and all these different things where I'm like, instead of looking at it like a loss or anything, is just like time and that, no pun intended, even though I did lose a lot of money on Time Wonderland, but your time and all this, it's like an investment. It's almost like going to school. So instead of going to school and spending $60,000 for a couple years going to school of something that you don't really know what you're doing, it's like the money and time spent on collecting, investing, learning, even losing. Like I take the where I've lost money somehow in some sort of crypto, this or that. It's like me paying to go to school instead of me paying, and it's a fraction of the cost that it would. And I think it's the amount of reach and equity or cash or everything that is out there and available is limitless. So it's all, I don't know. I think I just can't stress how early it is and how exciting it is and how many different things, and you can literally do anything. So obviously I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.
I love that perspective of, you chalking it up to a learning experience. Like if you were to spend money on a course in Web3, what would that cost you at a university? It'd be like a few $1,000s, right? If that even existed, because it doesn't look like it's going to exist for a while because nobody really understands the space. But if that existed, it would be a few $1,000s. So if you lost that same amount of money in the market and you learned a bunch of shit from doing it, then that's better. It's in the end, that's much better. I certainly have learned from many rug pulls of what to look out for and what these projects have done well and what they've done wrong and how they marketed them and strategies for marketing and things like that. Like, so it's not even just Web3 insight. It's general marketing insight, and it's community insight as to how they're engaging with people and stuff that I can apply not only in Web3 but to our fans in general, like our Web2 fans who might have no interest in coming over to Web3 at this point. So I think that's a really cool perspective. Thanks for sharing that. Before we jump out of here in a little bit, I just wanted to jump into your drop a little bit more and maybe talk us through like, what things you thought about kind of putting this together, and like if you had any trial and error, and or did you kind of know what you wanted to do right away?
I had so many different ideas, because really the first we were going to do an OpenSea thing, and I had this vision. We still have these little the Holy Mr. Molé is what we call the Holy Molé mascot, I guess, for my label. And I feel like that I was just kind of, you hear NFT, you think 3D something, and that was kind of my vision. That's something we're going to do, is do like limited of dude breakdancing, a 3D version of Mr. Molé, and that's kind of actually the graphic or the visual of the label has went from a 2D to a very 3D look now. But then I started thinking about it, and it all goes back to the vinyl records. And I was like, I want to do something that's special for people that appreciate the same things as I do. And so that's where I was like, I have this record, and it has a lot of sounds from the 90s jungle music, I guess. And so I wanted to take that and do something limited where it's special. So only 60 people have this track. You can't find it on YouTube. You can't find it on Beatport. You can't find it on Spotify. And those are the only people that can do anything with that track. So they will be the only people that have it in their sets, the only people that can play it on Twitch or listen to it at a party or whatever. That was the first idea that I had. And then shows had just started coming back mid last year, I guess. And that's a big important thing for touring as a DJ is I spend a lot of money on having some sort of a media or camera guy with me to capture moments at the club, obviously, but especially new records that I'm working on. So when I do have to post and do the whole marketing thing with promoting a release or it's such a weird, it's almost like you got a gun up to your head, like, oh, you got to do a post today or else, your algorithm's screwed for the next whatever. But so all that pressure has given me this opportunity where I have this just a wild amount of content and stuff that people never even get to see. So then for the other card, the moment card, where it's like, the last 3 records I put out, we have this clip of this set that was one of my favorite sets I played last year. And now you get to own a piece of that and have it, and you can, have it in your collection. So there's the moment cards, the release, and then the artist card was just to kind of break it down of who I am and what I do. And, which if you buy all 3, then you get the collector reward, which same things, all goes back to the vinyl and the record and the mixtapes. And I was like, I'm going to do a mix, an hour-long mix, video mix that, again, you can't get on any other platform, and you can't even see unless you collect all 3 of these. And so it's a video tape of all my own records, that the bigger ones from the past, and also some new ones coming up, and then some stuff that probably will never ever come out. So like the only place to find it. So to me, it all goes back to that scarcity, exclusiveness, and really the best way to describe all this to me is, and why I started DJing, why I started going to raves, is the underground. And there like almost isn't an underground anymore because of social media and the accessibility to everything. So the closest thing to like the underground to me is this. And I wanted to kind of capture that and take those vibes and put them in a collection for my fans, and, meet some new ones that appreciate the same kind of things that I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm curious how your fans have been taking it, because we've been hearing from some artists, oh my God, NFTs are a scam, blah, blah, blah. And there's just like so much education that still needs to be done. But your fans seemed like super, super into it. There was like some technical issues and you guys found it before we did because your fans were in and buying already. So what did you do to prime them? I think that would be some really good takeaways for us and for our artists who are entering this space, because your fans seemed not even to question it, which was awesome.
Well, it's tough. No, I'm not gonna lie, it's tough to be the educator, but I feel like I've kind of slowly been doing that for quite a while. And I don't even know how many people in my streams have any idea what I'm talking about. Probably half the time, because my mic's never loud enough. But I say I've been talking about crypto and Chainlink and blockchain and different things. Usually I'm DJing though, so I never know how much actually gets across. I think that's the funny thing with streaming for me is that most of the streams I do, I'm DJing at the same time. So I'm talking, DJing, answering messages on Twitch, and running my visuals and selecting music and beat matching and doing all these things all at the same time. So I never know how much is completely goes over everyone's head. But I don't think about it like that until I have to like explain it. But usually I just have been kind of hinting at and talking about how dope this is in web3, and then I started telling people about Record Shop and posting on Facebook. And like I said too, like Facebook and Instagram, all that stuff seems to be, especially recently, really the reach is weird, where it's kind of scary as an artist, to be honest. But I've been doing as much posting without trying to like stuff it down people's throat. So I think the best way to do it is to just do it. And now that this launch has happened, I think there's a lot of people that are starting to understand, and then they're going to tell their friends, and there's people in the Discord and on Twitch and be like, oh, this is such a cool thing. I didn't understand what it was, and now I kind of get it. And maybe like a friend of mine who was one of the first people to buy all three, he's like, oh yeah, I picked up this and I picked up that as well, from other artists that were on there. So I think there's this, it's just going to keep expanding and keep expanding. But I guess tip wise, just to ease it in your different social medias, and anyone who's ever talked to me before knows that sometimes I can't shut up about crypto, but that's why I've spent so much time and so much everything invested into it, because that's how exciting it is to me. And something that I wanted to actually touch on was that giving crypto to me, in all sense, is giving back to the people, giving the power back to the people. And as an underground indie artist, owns an indie label, and I do well, but I'm still not the major label guy, or you're not gonna. I don't have 4 billion plays on my Spotify or anything like that. Like, I'm still an indie artist, and the most important people to me are the people, and that's what crypto, decentralization, from even money. Money is a very crazy thing right now, but money, music, and how crypto gets me, and the crypto tech and web3 and everything gets me so excited, that this is really the first step to like taking back the control and the power of our finances and our privacy, and most importantly, our music. I think I kind of went on a tangent there, but
maybe a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like that was a really like the last part. I was just like, yes, all of this. There's so much potential in this space, in Web3 and in crypto. And it's really up for grabs right now. It is early, and obviously the education piece is huge to getting the masses in. But for now, at the very least, we are lucky to have people like you and the Disco Fries and a lot of other artists doing really cool things. And I see God Cloud in here too, of course. Gotta shout out God Cloud, but doing some really awesome things and really thinking outside of the box, and just fucking doing it, because that's the main that's it, right? Like, somebody's got to do it. So I'm really pleased that that this is the crew that we've got doing it. I do feel like that was a really great place to end it, because Codes like that left me on a really high note. So I do want to just thank you so much for your time today. Nick, Disco Fries, thank you also so much for being here. Everyone, if you haven't had a chance yet, I did pin the tweet to Codes to his storefront on Record Shop, so check that out. Obviously, he's really future thinking and going to be really experimental with what he's doing, so might as well get in early. Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everyone.
And if you don't mind, I just want to just say a little bit more on that, and especially for the
please.
indie artists that are listening to this is, I'm saying this from a people or, the power, giving the power back to the people, but also giving the power that it has basically unfairly kind of been taken from the indie musician or any musician, even musicians that are signed to major artists or major labels that, actually do get huge checks, but, half their publishing taken or whatever. Like, this is the way for the indie artist, one of the only ways to not only obviously go against the grain, but the opportunity to take control of what you do, what you give your fans, what you put out, the percentage that you get of things, and what gets done with your art. So it's a exciting time for, not just the people and everything, but also the indie artists. This gives you it just opens up the door for basically everything that we've ever wanted if we do it right.
Totally. I really, we're going to have to keep you on the roster to come and join more spaces, because you're right on the right frame of mind that like Nick and I are always talking about. So we're going to keep you on the roster here.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me.
And your avatar matches ours in color, so it's perfect.
Perfect. It's meant to be.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in here. I see God Cloud's here. We're going to be having him on soon to talk about his upcoming drop. So big shout out to God Cloud. Codes, check him out. He's super dope. And I think you'll love his stuff. He's got a really good handle on Web3. And everybody else, feel free to share this out. We get a lot of plays on these after the fact, so we appreciate any tweets you guys can send out with the spaces from today. And of course, pick up codes. Pick up codes is drop. It's out. His storefront's up. So please support the music. And obviously, from what you heard, he's got a great handle, not only on Web3, but where he wants to go in the space, and just music in general. Been doing it for a long time and deserves all the support in the world. So thanks so much, man, for coming on, and we're psyched to have you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the future.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.